Ms. Davis, could you say again, tell us your name, where were you born, and where did you grow up?
My name's Otis Davis. I was born in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It's named after Indian chief, Chief Tuscaloosa. And that's about it.
What were the conditions in the 50s, I would say 50s, when you were a young man in Tuscaloosa? What were the social conditions, the economic conditions, and remember that this is the beginning of the civil rights struggle. Why can you tell us about that?
It was very bad. Segregation is not good for anyone. I had to go to high school that was over in the other side of town. When I had the Tuscaloosa High School about a block and a half from me. An elementary school, a white elementary school, was to my right, also about a block and a half. But I had to go on the other side of town. We call it being across the tracks. And I think some of my students, my other classmates, they didn't think much of it, but I did. I knew it was wrong. And actually one of my former classmates told me, he said, "We knew you were never going to stay here." I guess I was daydreaming even then.
How do you get into sports? How do you get involved?
Well, as a child, I had my imaginary games. I guess that's why I can do this so easily here, at the high school, because I had to make my own games. I played by myself a lot, and they had the radio, and only radio. It wasn't a television during that time. I hate to date myself, but I would have the radio on, and I'd be in our backyard, and I would use that crowd noise to help me. I had a broomstick handle and a rock, and I'd throw it in the air and try to make a curve. And if I hit a home run, my type of home run, the crowd was cheering for me, see? And I was always a star. I always thought of myself as a star. Even when I went to the movie, I was always the guy with the white hat. Even if it's a white guy or white, it didn't matter to me. I was always a hero. And going to the movies helped me a lot because it was a bit of an escape, if you know what I mean, from those conditions.
Could you elaborate a little bit about what conditions? Escape, you mentioned escape.
Not being able to go into facilities, not being able to go into movies. They had one movie for blacks, and it was called the Ritz Theater, and of course we'd go upstairs, and we were in the balcony, and of course the whites were downstairs, and you don't dare throw anything over there because you get a lot of trouble. But there were about 4 movies in the city, and in the town, I would say, and that was the only one that we could attend. And of course, you had places where you'd sit. You couldn't sit with whites. Places that you wouldn't dare go into. And just the idea of being deprived of the opportunity to go wherever you had money enough to go to, or had a desire to go to, that was bad enough. And of course, my mom always, my mother, whenever I would see her, which my grandmother raised me, she always would make sure I dressed the same way the Caucasians dressed and everything, and to hold my head up. I remember once 2 Caucasian guys asked us when I was about 5 or 6 years. He said, "Why don't well, in Southern dialect, your boys want to dance for us, and we'll give you these cookies." And being a little boy, all I could see were those cookies. I jumped up and started dancing with the other boy. I got home with my mother, and she said, "Where do you get the cookies from?" I said, "Oh, these white guys, they gave us, all we had to do was dance." Bam, bop, bam. She tanned my hide, and I'm being nice about it, because she said, "Don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that for them. I don't care what you do." The pride of not doing, but hey, I was a little boy. But I think a lot of that rubbed off on me, being proud no matter what. I could probably have a quarter in my pocket, and I felt like I had $3 or $4. But it's just getting in the habit of self-endurance, and believing in yourself and believing that you have a better life ahead of you. And that's what helped me keep going. Although the conditions were bad, I saw some bad things happen. I was at a carnival once, and I saw a black man running from the white policeman. We were sitting at one of the University of Alabama football games. Of course, we sat back in the side where we could hardly see the game. And one of the fathers of one of the students, he came in after we did, and he was all bloody. two of the white policemen had beat him up, you know, and I saw stuff like that happen. And I also saw the Ku Klux Klan march once, but I didn't know what they were. And I said, boy, some of these guys look little, you know. Some of them because they were kids marching with them. And I said, these are very short guys, but I didn't know what the Klan was, but they marched, and obviously I didn't go out and say I want to join or anything. I was a little kid, but I saw things like that happen. I saw them burning some crosses sometimes, all things like that. And that's something that sticks in your mind all the time.
You mentioned about just the spirit of, almost on the spirit of optimism. You were an optimist.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of all this. Did faith play a role?
My grandmother saw to it that I attended church every Sunday, and I sang in the choir and everything else. And I said in the black community, that's been the strong point in the black community for years. That's the one thing that held us together. And at the time I didn't understand it. I thought it was just a duty thing I had to do because she insisted on it. But I'm glad now that she did that, because that gave me something to believe in. It gave me something to give me hope that things would get better in the future. And it paid off, because I carried that right through my life, and it helped me in the Olympic Games, you know, because that's the first thing I thought about after I won the first gold medal. I won two, but the first one, I thought, oh, if my grandmother, she had passed, if she could see me now. All those days I spent in church, you know, I remember I couldn't even go to the movie on Sundays, you know. I did when I went in the military, of course, but it was just that attitude of, it helped me to know right from wrong. And it carried me. It gave me strength to get through that whole thing. Because some of my classmates, as I said, they said, we knew you were never going to stay here. I would daydream in school, in class, and I don't tell any of these kids in school to daydream because they shouldn't do it. But my teacher would call and says, oh, what about the Boston Tea Party? Explain something about the Boston Tea Party. I'd stand up and I was thinking, I said, Boston, we're talking the Red Sox or what? I'm thinking sports all the time, you know. But the fact that I was so much into sports and in my own imaginary games, that helped pull me through. I was in my own world. I told you I played a lot of games by myself. There was a fence next to us. There was a white family that lived next to us. Of course, they had a very high fence. But in that fence, there had some little cracks where you could, I had a softball. I would throw the softball against the fence, and naturally, you don't know where the ball is going to go, right? So that helped me in softball. It made a good infielder out of me, because I'd catch the ball, I'd throw it here. That was my practice. And inside I had a coat hanger I put over the door in my house, and I'd play my basketball. And my grandmother came to the door, she'd have to make sure she didn't get hit on the head, because I'm throwing, that's my own little basketball court. But those games pulled me through, along with my religion. That's what helped me.
When did you start feeling that you were that hero that you always dreamed of in the movies and everything? When you started feeling that there was you seem to be, according to your classmates, you seem to be destined to go somewhere. When did you start feeling that you were going to get somewhere?
I started feeling that when, after I volunteered, I went into the United States Air Force. And I was only weighed 127 pounds when I graduated from high school. And I made the starting team, basketball team, in my senior year, although I got so nervous they had to pull me out for a while because I wanted it too bad. But once I got in the Air Force and started growing, when I went through basic training, in a few weeks I went from 127 pounds to 145 pounds, just like that. And as a matter of fact, when I came back on my leave to some of my classmates, I was looking up at them at first, but when I came back, I'm looking down at them, and I was larger. But one day in the gymnasium, when I was shooting baskets over in England, where I was stationed in the Air Force, I started feeling a lot of spring in my legs. It's just like, I can't say it's like Superman, but I said, boy, what's wrong with me? And I just start jumping, start springing. And I could feel it right in my legs, and I could feel the athletic development coming on. And that's when I started knowing that that was going to be something I could do. I made the basketball team in the Air Force. I made first string, and I just started getting better and better. And that's when I said, well, you know what? I think I'm going to be able to do something. But I always wanted to find out what I could do against the best. My grandmother wanted me to go to one of the black school colleges, in the South, but no, I wanted to go against the best. So when I got out of the Air Force, I went to the Los Angeles City College, and we won 34 games and lost one as a basketball player. Then I went on to Oregon, and I was getting better and better, but I didn't know that fate had it for me to go and be into track and field. But because even in basketball, they knew I could jump, and I told you I had the spring. The track team left a uniform for me to go to Ventura to be a high jumper, but I wasn't interested in anything but basketball. But little did I know that fate had for me to do what I ended up doing. And the basketball coach, after we were so successful, and he knew I was going to go to the University of Oregon, I'd been accepted, he timed me in it was a 100-yard dash, and the stopwatch said 10 flat, which was very fast. I didn't realize at the time. He said, it's 10. He said, I want you to run the 100-yard dash so that your basketball coach will know how fast you are. Because I noticed that he'd keep me in the games after everybody else got tired. My coach did in basketball. I didn't think anything of that. But the stopwatch said 10 flat, and he said, I said, what time did I run, coach? And I stood up. It was on an old brick track, brick dust, and I ran in basketball shoes. I just went through it as fast as I could go. He said, the watch says 10 flat. He said, but it can't be that fast. There's something wrong. So we forgot about it. So you see what I'm saying? Fate had it that way for me to go ahead and fulfill and do what I did. And that's why I have such faith in what I'm doing now and why I help young people so much. But it all had to do with my religious belief that I had. That was something for me that my grandmother saw. And because even when we were kids, we had a little group called Buds of Promise, like a flower. And we would meet once a week in different homes. And we were supposed to had a lot of promise in this development. And they'd read the scripture to us and things like that. I would rather be out playing ball at the time, but anyway, even from that time, I was destined to do what I didn't say what I have done, what I'm still doing, because I'm still working with people. And all these letters that I get can prove it, that I get from all over the world, saying that, for an example, if you don't mind me saying it, they said, like to thank you for the great performances in the Olympics. It's athletes like you that make the games last for such a long time. It is true that you did not get the coverage you deserve, but many fans have appreciated your efforts. I only hope that your career gets the appreciation it deserves. I'm getting all kinds of fan mail. And this was November 25th, 2011. Another one, December 9th, 2011, says unsung heroes like yourself have traditionally been disregarded by media who go after over-advertised and overpaid players, but it is those quiet, I don't know if that, yet effective athletes who bring the bread and butter to our nation's national team and cheer real sports fans. I follow your Olympic success. Every team needs leaders of your caliber to be on top of the games and be competitive. I would appreciate an autographed photo, blah, 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 blah. So that's what gives positive reinforcement to what I'm doing. It lets me know that I am destined to be a leader. And as I told you before, I've been president of the Tri-States Olympians, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, for 12 years. And that happened, I can't say by accident, but I wasn't supposed to be the president. Someone else was supposed to be it. That's it.
Mr. Davis, could you tell us a little bit about Rome 1960? How did you get there, and what was the feeling? What kind of feeling did you get when you run the 200, and then when you run the relay, and you broke the world record?
I only finished third in the trials. If I'd finished fourth, I probably wouldn't have gone to the Olympics. That's the truth. Again, I'm thanking the man upstairs for that. But what happened is the reason I even got third, it was at Palo Alto, California. Something came from me when I was running, and all at once it said, you better hurry up if you want to make the team. I'm telling you, it came to me, and I just started passing everybody, and I got third place, and I qualified. Needless to say, the one of our runners, the one that finished first, he didn't even make it to the finals. But again, that was my destiny to fulfill, and I was so proud that I just made the team because the night before I went to the chapel, and I made promises that I didn't keep. I made promises to the man upstairs. Said if I'm the one, to win, I'll work, to help you for the rest of my life, blah, blah, blah. And I forgot all about it once I started riding that big train, those Olympic medals and everything else. But I came back to it. you know. But to make that team was the greatest thing. I said, oh, I wish my grandma would passed away. I wish she could see me now. And my cousin later on told me the same thing. And making that team was so great because I got a chance to meet so many fine athletes. But one thing they forgot, they were dancing. I think they called it the Continental or some dance they had. Some of the athletes that made the team, they forgot that we were over there to represent the United States, win medals if we could. And they were dancing every night until just the last day before the games, and everybody got quiet. They just remembered that they were supposed to, you know, what we're supposed to do. I never did that. I didn't even walk fast. I worked out and trained twice a day and worked very hard because I was beginning to feel like, hey, I think this is my destiny to fulfill. And I got a chance to meet Muhammad Ali. He was Cassius Clay at the time. He and I had been, we had our uniforms we tried on in New York beforehand, and he was very naive at the time. He was just from Louisville, Kentucky, but he was a perfect build, you know, and nice looking kid and everything else. I call him a kid because he was younger than I was, but anyway, he's talked all the time. Needless to say, I didn't want to try to stop him because he was a boxer. I don't want to get hit, you know. But anyway, he talked about the times when he went to Sugar Ray Robinson. He went to see Sugar Ray Robinson in Harlem. Well, Sugar Ray had already been finished, but he still had his entourage and everything. And he looked up to Sugar Ray, Muhammad Ali, and he said, and this, I try to imitate, like, he said, man, he said, I went to Harlem, you know, to see Sugar Ray, and he didn't even want to recognize me. And I said to myself, I said, somebody's going to recognize you one of these days, because he just, for some reason, he just stuck with me a lot, you know, and he's always talking. My ears were burning, blah, 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 right out of Louisville. Anyway, when we got over, we ate together in the dining room, and after I won a gold medal, I won the 2 gold medals, he says, man, and I'm imitating him again, he said, man, did you win a medal? I said, yeah, I won 2 of them. He said, why ain't you got it on then? He had his around his neck, and the Italians were following him all over the place. Really a comical guy. And another thing the Italians did, and I think I told you this before, afterwards, they're very scientific. The Italians, the psychology, the physical directors took us in and they measured Muhammad Ali, a guy named Eddie Crooks, a little flyweight boxer, and myself from head to toe. It was a bit impersonal, but I didn't care. They wanted to see what we had that made us be able to excel in sports. And do you know, later on I saw the silhouette of me in a magazine from that. So that was the greatest accomplishment that I could ever think of. And you showed the film, I think, remember I saw I jumped up and down. I was so happy. I couldn't believe it. But then that gave me confidence that I was on the right track and that my grandmother knew what she was doing. I knew she knew what she was doing, but I didn't have as much faith in it. I couldn't see as far ahead as she could, obviously, because the man upstairs had her doing exactly what he wanted her to do, and that's why right now I know I'm on the right track as far as helping youngsters.
When you won the medal and you came back to the United States, was Adidas or Nike or some of these big companies that pay millions to the athletes waiting for you? Anybody? Well, how was the coming back to the United States, the returning to the United States?
Well, we were regarded as amateurs. That meant that we weren't supposed to make money, okay? And the coaches made the money. So when I came back, by the way, I wore the first pair of Nike shoes. My coach, Bill Barman, invented the Nike shoe. And he had me test them like a test pilot. And because I was, quote, supposedly one of the stars on the team before the Olympic Games, he had me test them, and based on my acceptance of those shoes after I ran, and the story says when he saw me running around the turn with those shoes, that he knew that he was on the right track. Now, he started the Nike shoe with a waffle, you know, his wife's waffles, and he had me try these shoes on. At first, I looked at them because they were so light. You know, I wanted to have support as well as a good shoe, but they were very good. And I told him that they were good, and right after that, he, the Nike shoe, along with my former teammate, Phil Knight, who was the billionaire president of Nike, those two went together in business, and I never got involved in any of that, and to this day I still haven't, but that's the way it goes. Hopefully I get the message out, because I've done a lot of things that the public doesn't know about, and that's what this is about, and I hope I can get my book out so I can get full credit for everything I've done. I seem to be able to come up with, because of God's gift, ideas that people like. Like I said about the Olympic Alumni Association, they took once an Olympian, always an Olympian. That's on the front of the magazine right now, but that's an idea I had. So basically, it was rough. Falling, I call it falling from the pedestal. But you got to be able to land on your feet when you fall off that pedestal. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of these ball players, NFL, AFL, NFL, they can't, once they leave the athletic field, they can't get in the habit of living like everyone else. It's an adjustment. It's hard then, and it's still hard for me. But I still have my faith, and with me getting the attention I've been getting from so many people now, it gives me faith that I know I'm still going to come out on top. All I have to do is keep believing in myself and get in contact with key people who believe in me. People that believe in me, I'm sorry.
Mr. Davis, how do you see the future of American Olympic sports?
Well, the future is bright because they're getting to get the vitamins and the good training and things. I didn't go to through that time period. I did a lot of stuff on my own that I thought of. I drank a lot of that wheat germ oil and stuff like that. I guess psychologically it helped, but they have good training now. They have their own facility. When they can identify a protege, I would say, some kid that's talented, and even in junior high school now, they start, focusing attention on him, and he goes right through. They have an Olympic training camp, so it's much better, and they make money now. And they give them, I think, $15,000, which really is just a start as to what they can with star power. But like I say, I still have faith in myself that I have the ability in a lot of areas that will help me, because a lot of people didn't realize that I could write. I've written several books, and I write now, and I write stories. A lot of these programs were written by me. For example, the Achievement Award program, I wrote that, and the Olympians are using that right now. It comes up every year. And I found that I had this talent. And one person that I said before said, "Oh, you were away," he told me years ago. I worked for a television magazine. He said, "Well, you were well ahead of your time." I said, "No, I'm not ahead of my time. I'm ahead of your time." I said, "You don't believe that I could write or do things like this, but I have that talent." So I have faith that if I keep writing programs like this and keep letting people know what talent I have, rather than just run fast all of the time, I think I'll be okay.
Finally, a message to young people today.
You must set goals for yourself and really believe in yourself. If you don't have a role model, look for one. The role model might not necessarily be at home. It might be a single parent. It might not be anyone. It might be an uncle or a friend. Anyone that you can look up to, that respects you, that will spend some time with you. Latch on to that person and try to learn as much as you can from them. And never give up on yourself. Try to find out what you can do best and go for it. That's what I say.
Mr. Davis, could you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and what's going on in Union City with the facilities, the new facilities that we have, and what do you see in the future for this city with all the advantages that the students have?
I've never been in a facility as great as this. The high school I attended was we had to shoot baskets, we had to arch the shots, and to see a facility as great as the Union City High School, I'm just so proud to even be a part of it. And I'm sure these students realize that they're in a great place. And this is what encourages me to present some of these programs like the Sports Challenge 3 for exceptional students. That's going great. And as a matter of fact, next week we're going to have another program. It'll be basketball. And I'm just proud to also, on the other end of the spectrum, an annual achievement award that identifies the well-rounded students who are good academically in sports and athletics and community service, and encourages them to keep going. And it's at an all-time high because we have students who participated and have gone to Union City High School and school like Stanford and Rutgers, et cetera, and the best is yet to come because each year we have this program. And it's going very good because the city has opened its arms to us, and the mayor and everyone has cooperated to help us, get these programs going. And I foresee a great future for Union City as long as we work together like we have been right here at the school and continue to do this. And guess who's going to benefit from this? Not only the school, but the faculty and the citizens of Union City.
Thank you.